City desk, Myers.
This is Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, really? This is Ernest Hemingway?
I got your letter. Hello?
Yes, sir.
It's a good letter. You like to fish?
He's the biggest tourist attraction in Cuba.
You look just like the old man of the sea.
And that was a clip from the new film Papa, Hemingway in Cuba, which explores the relationship between the legendary writer and a Miami journalist who befriends him in the late 50s as Cuba moves toward revolution. Joining us now to discuss the movie is actor Adrian Sparks, who plays Papa himself. Adrian, I can imagine it must have been such a treat for you to play the great Hemingway. Were you a fan of his writing before you got the role?
Well, I did had a one-man show that I did. I'm a theater rat. My background is theater. And I had a one-man show that I did of him for several years. I went overseas with it. And that had been a project I'd done. I'd laid that to rest. And then lo and behold, 3 years later, somebody saw a little YouTube clip of the
So you have him in your blood, so to speak.
Yes, a lot of research, a lot of understanding.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the film is based on the real-life friendship between these two writers?
Not based, it is.
It is.
It is not based on a true story. It's an absolutely true story.
Does it take any liberties with Hemingway's role during the Cuban Revolution? None.
None whatsoever.
Wow.
Everything you see there is absolutely true. It answers a lot of questions that scholars have had about Hemingway. It answers a lot of questions about Hemingway himself. There's things that are revealed in the film that are behind the mask.
It's fantastic. Now, of course, we don't want to give too much away, but this was the first American film in 50 years to be shot in Cuba.
1958.
Incredible. What was that like just on a practical day-to-day level? I mean, did you have craft services? What happened if, you know?
Well, it's interesting. We went there twice. We had a 15-month break in between where Bob had to deal with the State Department, the Treasury Department, to get permission for us to continue the project. A very lengthy process. And it was interesting, in that 15 months, the changes were quite dramatic. And then we went back a year later for the premiere at the Havana Festival, and lo and behold, more changes. So things are changing, as you must know.
Yes, very rapidly.
Yeah.
Well, being half Cuban myself and having been to the finca, Hemingway's finca, which the Cuban government keeps like a museum. You can't.
Yes,
and you shot in the finca in Hemingway's finca?
It's astounding, yeah.
Incredible that the government
People come from all over the world, and they have to look through the windows and the doors. We had a whole film crew in there, and I don't know if you've been around film crews, but they can create a lot of chaos.
Yes.
Well-intentioned, but so.
I was so struck by the fact that the same New Yorker magazine from 1959 was still on the coffee table.
Everything is
Did you
there.
return it as it was after you were done?
Interesting story about that. Yes, everything is left exactly as when he left it.
Right.
The bottles of booze on the table, everything.
Yeah.
But of course, it is a museum, and it's a highly beloved museum. So Bob brought all the props, replacement props for it, so that we could use those, because it's not a museum. They're not museum pieces. So we're about to shoot one of the scenes where Hemingway's dealing with writing. And I'm standing on a square foot of ground where Hemingway stood when he wrote, with a prop typewriter in front of me. And the head of the museum, Ada Rosa, came in and she said, "We'd like Adrian to work with this."
Oh, the real thing.
So that typewriter you see in there is Hemingway's typewriter. Yeah.
Incredible. Now, we know that Hemingway loved Cuba and the Cuban people loved Hemingway. What was it that he found so inspirational about the place?
He spent a third of his life there, and the last third of his life. For him, it's touched on briefly in the film, one of the few places he felt at ease was at sea.
Right.
And he's always been attracted to the underdog, to the people that are during the Spanish Civil War. He's always been on the side of the underdog. And as we see, he also continues to be on the side of the underdog in Cuba during the Revolution.
What were your personal feelings about the island and the people? Did you have any downtime in filming to explore?
Yeah, actually, I had a couple of weeks off. I had a driver. He took me. I saw all of the island. It's a stunning island. It's beautiful. As happy as I am for the people that the embargo is lifting, I'm concerned about the island. It's a very delicate structure. It hasn't been touched by 21st century pollution. I went snorkeling there, and I had to remind myself this wasn't a Disneyland set. There are corals that are extinct on the rest of the planet.
They're so protected.
Yeah,
Yes, I know. We have to all tread very lightly.
Very gently.
I
Very
agree.
gently.
Was the actual act of filming a movie there unlike any, theater or film experience you've ever had?
Sure. I mean, to be in the place where it happened with the people that it happened to, that's the most fertile ground an actor could till, isn't it? My original, as I told you, my original foray with Hemingway was a one-man show, so I was by myself. Here I had Mary, extraordinary performance by Jolie Richardson.
Beautiful.
Just so wonderful to work with. So was Giovanni. So to have not only this wonderful true story script that really deals with the man and great respect for the man, but also great honesty about the man, and then to have it in the places where it happened, and then to have it with these wonderful actors.
And you have so much experience to mine as an actor, because we know just a year after Hemingway left Cuba, he killed himself.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that work itself into the film?
We see that that's where it's going.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. What's really remarkable about this film is there have been a lot of films made about Hemingway. This is our first one that deals with this stage of his life. And this stage of his life is the one that perhaps everybody recognizes most as Hemingway. We think of the old man with the white beard, yeah? But this is the first time we've gone there. And what we're going to is a place where everything is unraveling for him.
Mm-hmm.
He can't write, and all these things are happening to him. So we see what it is that took him to that final
dark
tragic
place.
end. Yeah.
Now, as an actor who had tackled Hemingway before, were there new insights that you found actually being in Cuba or on this project?
Being there, it was a profound understanding of how loved he is by the Cuban. As you asked, I had days off. I would go to the beach and I'd hear, Papa, Papa.
Oh, yeah.
And it had nothing to do with the film. They didn't know, but they saw Papa. So people were pushing past Giovanni Ribisi to get to me because I was Papa.
You were Papa.
Yeah,
Come back to Cuba.
Which I think is also, it's a very brave choice on Bob Yarry's part to take someone who, I've got 50 years of experience, but I don't have a name, do I? So what's great about it is you then have the ability to meet Hemingway. Yeah. You're not seeing so-and-so and so-and-so playing Hemingway and having to get past that.
You're actually meeting Papa.
Yeah.
Well, Adrian Sparks, thank you so much for coming to talk to us,
My
and
pleasure.
congratulations on the
Thank you.
film.